Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? I want to have a real tough conversation with you guys today. Now, I'm a very opinionated person, and I have my opinions about Jen Soto. But a lot has been happening in the last few days that's caused me to think a little bit outside of the box, be a little empathetic, and really try and reason through this debacle of Jen Soto exposing her daughter to a predator from a more open-minded point of view. What I mean by that? See, on this show, we talk about how we believe that Jen Soto was a terrible mother. On this show, we talk about and we acknowledge that there's no evidence that links Jen Soto in any way to the abuse of Maddie, that links Jen Soto to the essaying of Maddie, to the unaliving of Maddie. There's no evidence that has come out so far that proves that. The police have dumped Jen Soto's phone. If you don't know what that means, that's a Cellbrite term. That means that the police have literally downloaded every single email, text message, phone call log, picture, memo, anything that was done in any app from her phone. Even if it's a voice memo, even if she wrote something like you can do with those Galaxy phones, the police have access to that. Any picture that was taken and deleted, even if it was taken the first day she bought the phone 2 years ago and deleted it, and now they're dumping that phone 2 years later, they still can get remnants of that picture. They've examined all of her property. Search warrant her house, search warrant her car, search warrant her phone once again, search warrant her computers, her social medias. They found nothing. No evidence of CSAM, no conversations that basically link her to supporting what Stephen Stearns was doing to her daughter. And then something happened, right? But still, we believe in accountability on this channel. People have to be held accountable for their actions. There's some things you can be forgiven for. We make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes on this channel. Sometimes I might misspeak. I might get a fact wrong. I'm human, right? I make mistakes in my personal life. I am not the bastion for you to look up to and say, here's a perfect guy for you to be like. Hell no, you're crazy. I'm human, you're human, we all make mistakes, but there's some mistakes we can't walk away from, like the mistakes that Stephen Stearns made in doing what he did to Maddie, taking away her innocence and eventually taking away her life, or even the mistakes of allowing your daughter to go to bed with another man that's not even her biological father as often as Jen did. That, to me, that's a mistake we can't forgive. But once again, you guys know I'm leading up to something. Jen Soto said she didn't know. Jen Soto said she trusted Stephen Stearns. Jen Soto said he was like the perfect stepdad. Jen Soto said he never gave her any reason to believe that he was doing something untoward toward her daughter. Jen Soto said her mommy told her never trust a man. And she came into that situation not trusting a man, but years went by, several years, and he never gave her any indication that he was up to anything wrong. And many of us, including me, will listen to her say that and we'll say, bullcrap. You had to see something. You had to know something. But something happened in the last few days. Something that I brought to you guys' attention because it was brought to my attention by some brave, righteous Reddit users. What was brought to my attention is, as we know, there was a sex offender, a registered sex offender who infiltrated Reddit and literally was running the Madeline Soto blog or forum or subreddit, however they say it. I'm not a Redditor, so I don't really know what the lingo is. But this person was running the premier place to have discussions about Maddie, to find out new evidence of Maddie. Not only that, this guy embedded himself in all these different social media platforms and social media groups and organizations and people who are close with the family. We don't even know how close he was with that family. And I don't blame the family. Not at all. They're grieving. We have our opinions about Tyler Wallace and Tatiana, etc. But at the end of the day, they are grieving. I don't blame them that somebody comes into their world and says, hey, I want to help you. I want to bring awareness for your daughter. And they make a mistake and say, okay. I don't even know if they ever even spoke to or met this guy. It might be one of their proxies who facilitated this relationship. But this guy, who was literally the last person that needed to be connected to Madeline Soto, somehow found a way to get connected to Madeline Soto's case, to her legacy. And what are all these people saying? What are they all saying? The people who worked with this guy, the people who had conversations with this guy, there's people who shared information with this guy, the people who hosted this guy, the people who gave this guy platforms to spread his deceptive lies, the people who participated in the forums where he was able to shape the narrative and silence the opposition, or rather just silence the free thinkers. And in some cases, shame people, tarnish their reputation, lie on them, deceive about them. What are those people saying? We didn't know. We had no idea. In hindsight, well, that seemed a little odd that he did this, but we thought his heart was in the right place. We even thought he was a woman. Some people thought that this man who, I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but it's my belief based off of some of the information I've seen on Reddit and information that's still making its way to me, that this man is still on Reddit. He's just changing his usernames. Understand, this platform was pretty much built for some measure of anonymity. Did you guys really think that he was just going to delete himself? And I want to correct myself. I said that he was deleted by Reddit or by Reddit mods. I was wrong. He deleted his own profile. He was not deleted by any authority on Reddit or any mods who were running subreddits. He deleted himself. Did we honestly believe he was just going to delete himself and go back to his non-life? When I say non-life, the guy has no life. And I've received such disturbing information. It really breaks my heart. I'm talking to a woman online right now who has the most sad story about abuse and life-changing diseases that she contracted as a result of those abuses that went on to her progeny, that I don't want to get the story too wrong because I'm still reading it and it's a little jumbled the way she sent it with the screenshots. But I think the abuser fathered the child, and she shared this with this guy, and he's lying to her, telling her these tales about things that have happened to him that just doesn't seem like it ever happened to him. And it's almost like he's feeding off of this woman's pain and sorrow. These are the type of conversations this guy engaged in, that he used Reddit as his fiefdom to deceive people. And none of these people know this. I could feel the pain in this woman's email as she describes to me how betrayed she feels, allowing herself to open up to this man who she thought was a woman, and to find out that it was all a lie, all a deception. So why did I decide to come and make this video, guys? It's simple. What if Jen didn't know? In light of what has just happened, and listen, this is a thought exercise here. I'm not saying that I'm changing my opinion on Jen Soto. Maybe I will in the future. I don't know, but I'm definitely not there now. But this is more of a thought exercise for all you intelligent, beautiful people out there who choose to listen to me day in and day out. and the people who are joining us, who are just curious about what we do here. This is a thought exercise. How can we truly say that Jen Soto knew? And we could go a step farther. We could give her even more grace. What if she's right? What if she didn't see it? What if Stephen Stern's deception was so good that she could not tell that he was preying on her daughter? And of course, her daughter's shame and her daughter's conditioning and her daughter's grooming, which I believe, if you're new to the channel, started when she was 6 years old, because he was in her life since years old. I can't speak. Since 6 years old. I apologize, guys. I tell y'all, when you got those Invisalign in your mouth, you can't speak. I say it all the time. Since 6 years old. Because from what I know about how these predators operate, from my training, my experience, just my opinion though, but those things inform me because they're a part of me. They're in my brain. They inform the way that I think. These predators can't help themselves. The moment they have a suitable prey, they start working instantly. She's been getting groomed. She may not have been touched at that age, but she was getting groomed since 6 years old. So now she's the ages that this abuse is happening. Now you got the shame involved with that. You also have the mixed emotions that you might actually care and love for this abuser, because this abuser is messing with your immature emotions and giving you attention and giving you physical and messing with your psyche, messing with your spirit. So we know Madeline stayed silent. Towards the end, 12, 13, we see her starting to rebel. We see her starting to say things like, I find him creepy and I don't really like him and I'm happy he's gone. The road for her salvation is starting to be paved, ladies and gentlemen, and she's starting to walk it. It's starting to be paved and she's starting to walk down that road of salvation, but of course, her life was cut too short. Maddie's silent, guys. And maybe Stephen Stearns is good. He picked the right one. He picked a woman so engrossed in her mental illness, so engrossed in her drugs, so engrossed in trying to get herself to feel normal. She'll cast everything aside, cast her daughter, cast everything aside to focus on her. He found that woman. He found that child that didn't have a support structure surrounding them, didn't have a dad that was close by and that was involved in her life and all these different things. I know people get upset when I say that, but the facts are the facts. Maybe he found the perfect prey in Jennifer Soto and Madeline Soto, in that he was able to deceive the mother into not even realizing that something terrible was happening to her daughter. But how can we sit here and say it's not possible when a pedophile, pedophile, deceived so many people? Listen, I spoke to the guy, the real person who broke this. He goes by the handle Lemons, something Lemons on Reddit. You could go on Madeline Soto Truth subreddit, which is the Reddit that I'm looking at now, and you'll get all this information of how this went down, that these folks were able to discover who HGHOST was. And we're not talking about some major, sleuthing campaign that resulted, they're hacking things and, they're parachuting into data centers and installing the corrupt USB drive that has their software on it, and now it's Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise jumps out of a window and he high-fives them and now we know who HGHOST is. That's not what it was. HGHOST pretty much told what he was and who he was. Well, he didn't tell what he was, but he told who he was. And HGHOST showed a lot of pictures of himself, and HGHOST used his screen name in a lot of different platforms. And he made some funky mistakes that allowed them to find out who he was. And all they had to do was put him in a search engine and boom, you're going to find out that he's a sex offender. So that's how they discovered who this guy was. It didn't take much. It didn't take much sleuthing. It didn't take much skill. All it took was determination. All it took was a will. This guy was stifling freedom of speech, constructive criticism on a very large subreddit. He also was using the Reddit to steer people in the directions and the creators and the platforms that he wanted to steer them to. And he also was using that platform to try and silence creators, such as myself. And so people said, who is this guy and why is he destroying the culture of a community that some people would have said was very beautiful in its initial conception? And there was a will to find out who is this person. And so they found it out. But if he was running that subreddit in a democratic way, in a fair way, if he wasn't putting his fingers and his thumbs and thumbs on the scale, if he wasn't causing drama, if he wasn't trying to pit creators against each other, if he wasn't trying to, silence people and block people and basically turn this large section of Reddit into his fiefdom, would anybody have looked him up? Would anybody have tried to threaten me if I was saying what everybody else was saying and just going by the drum of the acceptable beat? Probably not. Would anybody have looked him up? Probably not. And then we would never have known that there was a predator actually running a forum dedicated to a child that died by the hands of a predator but suffered for years before she met that ending. Just like Jen didn't know. Allegedly, maybe. Just like Jen didn't know, according to her words, that her daughter was suffering for years at the hands of that predator and ultimately ended. Now listen, there's things that we can't wrap our heads around, guys. Things like when she's given a statement, she's like, well, the sex wasn't evil, but the murder was, and it doesn't matter what context you put it in, it never sounded good. When you saw the way that she was defending Stephen Stearns, when the officers were confronting her with tons of evidence that Stephen Stearns was the worst thing on the planet, at the end, even when she was saying, I want Stephen Stearns to go to jail, I hate Stephen Stearns, she still said he was really good with Maddie and he was the only one that had patience with her. She could not miss an opportunity to defend and to uplift Stephen Stearns, even after having the knowledge that she had that he was hurting and abusing and then eventually killed her daughter. We can't wrap our heads around that. So listen, at the end of the day, when you look at the totality of the picture, that's why I'm telling you guys I'm not going to change my stand at this time without more evidence. Because regardless of whatever grace you give Jennifer Soto, it still comes back to where you started. She's a negligent mother, terrible mother. And she had a plan, or rather, she had a part to play in the ultimate ending of her daughter. It may not have been through actual planning and execution of the end of her daughter. We know Stephen Stearns did that. It looks like he did it on his own. But her negligence set the stage that these things could happen. Because she needed a good night's rest. And in her words, it was a selfish move. But when she first was questioned about these things, it was a selfish move that only happened less than the amount of fingers that she has on one hand. But as the investigation progressed and she got questioned more and she realized that the detectives knew more than what she thought they knew, then it started being, well, it happened a lot. And then, but I never was comfortable with it, but I just let it happen because they begged me. Maddie begged me. Stephen begged me. Now she's blaming the victim and blaming the perp. They begged me so they could have sleepovers. Till when we get to the culmination of it all. The culmination of it all. Where she says, well, if it was a school night, they usually slept together during school nights. That means 5 days out of the week, ladies and gentlemen. We got to the point in those interviews where she admitted 5 days out of the week, she allowed her daughter to sleep in the same bed, full-size bed. It looked like a full-size bed to me. What about you guys? I've never seen anybody say a queen size, which would at least be a decent size. I mean, there's no decent sized bed to sleep in, to have your daughter sleep with your boyfriend. But at least a queen would be decent. A king would be ideal if this had to happen. But some people are saying it looked like a twin. But most people say a full-size bed, not big enough for the both of them. 5 days out of the week. So I didn't make this video to defend Jen Soto. Should have fixed the lighting a long time ago. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't make this video to defend Jen Soto. I made this video for us to think a little bit. To get outside of our comfort zone. I want you to get out of your comfort zone. Because it's easy to hate Jen Soto, and she deserves the hate, in my opinion. But who am I? It's just my opinion. After all, Maddie died on her watch. But I want you to think outside the box, because a whole lot of people who fashion themselves to be very intelligent, and I don't doubt that. You go on these Reddit platforms, and these are really intelligent people. A whole lot of people who fashion themselves to be people who stand up for victims and fight for them. They got fooled too. And even content creators got fooled. I mean, I can't even say that I would not have been fooled, because he never tried to be my friend. He wanted to attack me from the gate for whatever reason. We're past that now. We're only bringing them up because it's relevant for this conversation. He fooled thousands of people, guys. There's 11,000 people in the Madeline Soto Reddit when he was running it. Now I think it's up to 12,000, but he's no longer, or maybe he is still running it. Because there's turmoil in Reddit that says he's just changing his usernames. I'm going to tell you what I think real quick before I get out of here. I'm not a professional of Reddit. I'm still learning it. And my interest is not as deep into it that I will probably stick around to become an expert in it. I think I'll be like most people on the internet, where I'm a casual Reddit user. I've used Reddit for tons of things. Technology reviews, how to fix things, things like that. And of course, Madeline Soto. But from what I'm hearing, and I might be totally wrong, just a theory, guys, because I know there are people on Reddit who are really, really deep into researching this and investigating this, and they probably are like, you're totally wrong. They probably have the timetable down packed much better than me. But I have a feeling, because there's so much mystery in who really started the Madeline Soto forum, because a person started it, then they handed it off to another person, and then that person deleted their account, then they handed it off to another person, and then that person. I have a feeling that it's possible that maybe the Madeline Soto Reddit was started by HGHOST under a different name. If that's not the case, then after the last verified user who passed it off to another person, when those usernames start becoming pretty much anonymous because they don't know who's behind those names, and then when they pass it off to another name, they delete their account, because that's what was happening under a number of successions. They would hand the foreign over to another person, give ownership to that person, and then they'll delete their account. They won't even hang out. I believe that at that point, or at some point, way beyond HGHOST becoming the official moderator, HGHOST was running it under different names. And now I see that people are complaining that he's still running it or still involved under different names. People like him don't give up power. This gives him meaning. In our larger society, he's a branded individual that will never be looked upon the same by his fellow man. He carries with him a scarlet letter. In Roman times and barbaric times, they would literally take a fire, put it on a metal, and they'd brand him on his forehead. And you would know forever that he is this type of sinner. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just giving you a visual on the type of life this man lives, a life of mediocrity. This place gave him purpose. This place gave him reason. He's not going to let go of it that easy. Stephen Stearns wasn't going to let go of Madeline Soto that easy. That's why when Jen Soto said, you got to go, I want to start seeing different people. She started seeing different people. You're just not the type of person I could build a life with. He can't hold a job, the whole nine. Well, guess what? He still found a way to weasel himself back in. He got his packages delivered there. Why would you drive 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours to go get a package that you could easily get delivered to your home or to a P.O. box and spend less than what you would spend on gas going back and forth to these two different towns that are almost 3 to 4 hours away from each other? 6 hours round trip in many instances, if not more. Control. That's why. HGHOST won't let go of the Madeline Soto forum. Stephen Stearns would not let go of Maddie. And if he had to give Jen what she wanted in order to stay in her life and by proxy then be able to stay in Madeline's life, he was going to do that to the point where Jen didn't want to have sex with him anymore, and he was okay with it. To the point where he had this woman so brainwashed that she was getting ready to let him come back to live with her so they could have a friendship type relationship where they would raise Maddie together. That came from Jen Soto's mouth. Maybe she didn't know. And if that's not something that's remotely acceptable to you, ask yourself, why didn't these other people know? Why did it take these intelligent, internet savvy, true crime loving veterans on YouTube and Reddit and Facebook? This is not beating up Reddit, guys. I am not doing that. Reddit is the forum that uncovered this uncomfortable truth. Thank God for Reddit. Thank God for lemons. This is Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, and God knows what other forums this man was on. Nobody knew. People interacted with him, shared with them their deepest, darkest secrets, laughed with him as he destroyed content creators and besmirched their reputations, supported him in his endeavors, agreed with him when he silenced people. Some people fought back. Some people raised the alarm. Some people got blocked for trying to tell him that he was doing the wrong thing. Either way, none of them could figure it out. There was something wrong in Kansas. And Kansas is the Madeline Soto Reddit. That predator deceived thousands, 11,000 subscribers. The buck stopped with him, and he interacted with thousands of people. He was in almost every conversation, almost every thread in that subreddit. He was there. He was shaping the conversation. He was manipulating the thought process of people who just wanted justice for Maddie. They did not know. They could not figure it out. So how can we not believe that there's a possibility that Jen couldn't figure it out either? I'm just trying to get your brains to move and start thinking. But like I said, this is a channel of accountability. And so we still believe that Jen Soto needs to be held accountable for being a negligent parent. But as I always say, we believe in justice, American justice. And in American justice, you're innocent until proven guilty. And in American justice, we only prosecute people who have evidence against them that prove that they committed a crime. And until that evidence materializes, then Jen Soto should be free. Guys, like and subscribe, join the channel. We're almost to 100,000 subscribers. We just passed the 75,000 subscriber mark. 75,000 subscribers. That means 25,000 subscribers to go, and I could get that beautiful silver plaque on the back of my wall, and I could be proud of you guys for supporting me on this endeavor to spread the word, to talk about victims, to support victims, to give a forum and a platform for victims, survivors, and warriors. Guys, I love you guys immensely. You guys are amazing. I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.